The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has sealed over 3,000 shops in Lagos. NAFDAC uncovered large consignments of banned and dangerous drugs which were expired, and they were slated for illegal revalidation, including vaccines stored in dilapidated, unventilated rooms sealed with iron sheets, posing severe health risk. You know, it's how people can come to that point where, you know, conscience is dead. For vaccines, there's a temperature they have to be kept in, cold temperature. And that's why when you see the primary health workers going about carrying out vaccination of children, you know, where they have the vaccine, there's a cold chain so that it keeps it at a temperature that will make sure that the vaccine is still potent. Because if you put the vaccine in a temperature where the potency is compromised, you're more or less just injecting people with what doesn't work. It could even be poisonous to them at that time. So how do people store vaccines in places where the temperature there is bad for the vaccines? Now, how do people move to try to revalidate medicines that are expired, knowing fully well that whoever takes this is at risk? If they don't die instantly, they stand the risk of having damaged organs. You know, these days we hear of cases of kidney failure, liver disease and all. And some people wonder where they come from, how they got that. Sometimes it's from unwholesome medicine. It's from fake drugs, unwholesome food products that people buy, not knowing that they are bad. They buy them under the impression that, oh, this is good. Because even some of the big pharmacies you would think would never do such, now mix. So it's more like there's half of it fake, half of it genuine product or quality product. So NAFDAC, as kudos to them for having sealing those shops. More needs to be done. This is what we're talking about. It's time for NAFDAC to be on the streets again, because for some people, there's no more conscience. Conscience is dead. They don't care what happens to the next person. All they care about is money that comes to them. But the question is this: if you want to be a medicine distributor, you want to be someone who deals in medication, there's a legal process to it. So you are either a pharmacist to be able to own a pharmacy. But these days we find people who did not study pharmacy, who are not medical practitioners at all. They just learn it like a trade. You know, how you become sales boy for someone who has a pharmacy, and after some time you think you know what every drug does, or you can read the leaflet and know what the indication of that medication is. So somebody is coming to say, oh, I have headache, I'm not feeling very well. By yourself, you cannot diagnose them and prescribe medication for them. So the person goes ahead to open their own shop. It's just like grocery business. You know, we talked about how the proliferation of people who deal on medical supplies, who deal on medication is increasing. Just, I think that should be last week, I saw someone carrying a tray. What was on the tray? Drugs. And he was selling it just by the roadside. And it seemed like normal business. I'm wondering, this person, from my assessment, is nowhere near the field of medicine. This person is not a pharmacist. This person does not have sufficient knowledge of the medication that he's selling, yet he's dealing in that business and nobody is asking him any question. It's just a normal business around here. So I think this is something that NAFDAC has to nip in the bud, because lives are at stake here. You and I don't even know the next time we have to buy drugs or medication where we're getting it from, if they have compromised.
Okay, so I'm glad that NAFDAC actually carried out this by going to seal the shops. I'm sure they didn't just storm the market to do that. NAFDAC
acted on intelligence.
Yes, intelligence. They would have planted a few people in that market, probably for a week or two, or they have informants from that market, even among those who are involved in the business, in the illegal trade of producing fake drugs. they will have intelligence of those markets, their pinpoints, their black spots. So I'm glad they did that. And the thing is, it is mind-boggling. 3,000 shops.
In one area.
3,000 shops. That alone should give the government a heart attack. 3,000? How many shops do we have in that? That's like a whole market.
So it's big business.
That's why you have lots of people in it. It is very big business. So the other thing that NAFDAC should do is, those people you spoke about, if you go to the normal market, look at where they sell fish, cow skin, popularly called pomo. The other person by the wayside is just having a whole basket of medication in there beside. So it's more like a grocery business. So you see that. So whilst the NAFDAC officials are targeting the people I hope there who have shops, who are moving containers around, and they are looking at those people, they should also look at the people at the head of society who are more like the food soldiers that help the containers, those who manage the containers, to make sure that their drugs or their fake medication gets down to the people at the head of society. So they should do that. We cannot continue to overflow the issue of trying to refer to the days of Professor Dora Akunyili and the exploits that she did. Her life was under threat at different point in time. Her life was under threat. In fact, politically, they had to change her political designation and moved from DG of NAFDAC to go and head the Ministry of Education. Why did that happen? Because those who were moving that business, who were doing that business, they started suffering losses by virtue of our action in trying to curtail and curb that evil business. And they have the guts to speak to those in the corridors of power to influence a reassignment. That's how powerful these people are. So if it's going to happen again, if the days of Dora Akunyili are going to come back again, because let's understand this fact: a nation's economy is as healthy and strong as the health sector of that nation. If the health sector of that nation has been saddled with the responsibility to make sure that the 200 million Nigerians that we have are people who are healthy mentally, are the people who are healthy physically, are the people whose lungs are not crumbling,
whose liver
and kidney are not being damaged, then we need a healthy. We need healthy health sector. I don't know how that sounds.
Yes, we need the health sector.
Because if you do not have them,
this one where you have medications that are not fake, drugs that, in fact, even the food, the drinks, the beverages that we take, we need the ones that are not substandard. Because whatever you take in to your system, it's either it's good for you or it's bad for you. If it's bad for you, who can tell what the outcome will be? There are people who took anti-malaria drugs because they were fake drugs. They died. And they took the drug because they wanted to get better. But they didn't get better. They died. You know, it's a very serious issue. And if we have big companies into this, one just wonders, you know, if you want to deal with this, why not buy from the right companies? Because they want to have big profits. It's just a matter of greed. How people can be very greedy, how people can be wicked. I don't want to say callous because that seems to be like an understatement here. People can be very greedy and wicked, not minding who dies at the end of the day. But what some of them forget is that now these fake drugs get into the markets. People from different places buy them. Some buy not knowing that they are fake, because you could be dealing with someone, have one distributor and be using that distributor for over the years. But at the point where that distributor is introduced into, they tell the distributor, oh, there's a new place you can get your drugs from now, it's cheaper. And that distributor begins to buy from that dealer, not knowing, or sometimes they know, but they want to have increased profits, so they also get into it. And so you begin to, you also as a customer of that pharmacy buy. But you don't know that what you have bought is a fake drug. Those who started the chain, they have relatives, but some they don't care. As long as it's not their immediate family, they don't really care who dies at the expense of their wealth, you know, whose life is paying the price for them to make wealth. They don't really care. So if they could do that, why not just go through the right channel? You will still make profit. But no, they would rather, because some of these drugs are thrown away by companies, they want to throw them away when they've expired. I know that there used to be a practice that if you have any drug on the shelf that has less than 6 months shelf life, you have to take that drug away.
Less than 6 months?
Yes. If
it's not that it has already expired.
No.
Less than 6 months.
If you have a medication or a drug on the shelf that has less than 6 months before the expiry date, you are to recall that, because you do not know when that drug will be bought. So what if it is bought when it has already expired? A lot of pharmacies were doing that at that time. But now, you will buy medication, it's 2 months the expiry date. You're even showing them, the salesperson, that this thing has just 2 months. They say, hey, it's still 2 months, like, it's still okay, it hasn't expired. Some would even tell you that, oh, they just put that date there. It doesn't mean that when the date, it gets to that date, it actually expires. It can still stay for more than that. You know, and people just take it for granted. Why should you even buy drugs that have 6 months to the time of expiration? Maybe a particular drug was made 2 years ago, and you bought it when it's remaining 6 months for that drug to expire. So how long will it take for you to sell? What if it's a medication that people don't come for every time? I know this thing depends on the area. There are certain areas where people are always buying certain medication. You know, where you have people who do manual labor a lot. You may have people coming for painkillers a lot, pain relief drugs a lot, as opposed to areas you don't have manual laborers there. So you may not have people asking for that. You know, these are things that NAFDAC needs to curtail. Get into some of these pharmacies. Good, they are getting into it. We need more to be done. And I know that they are also struggling with personnel, manpower. The government can help them. Let recruitment be done. They should have more people, more underground staff, people who are undercover. Because in this kind of business, it's risky when you even expose yourself as a NAFDAC official. Because in that market now, I'm very sure that, oh, they'll be looking out for NAFDAC officials. Those they know, they may not be very safe. So they need a lot of undercover workers. And I think that the welfare of the workers also needs to be improved. You know, insurance for them, because it's a risky job that they do. It's just like NDLEA. It's a risky job. Now, we may think that's hard drugs. Hard drugs and fake drugs, I want to say, they are the same. They damage lives of people. They can make people come up with illnesses, diseases, conditions that they ordinarily would not have had.
And the government will have to start struggling here and there.
It's not even the government. It's the families. It's the families that are burdened at the end of the day with this.
Economy-wise, it's a booming business. On the other hand, it is taking some people out of work. Because when they become sick, because their livers are damaged, they cannot go to work anymore. And if they are the ones that provide, the living, or that earns the breadwinner in the family, and that's where it stops. So a lot of people could be depending on that person, and the breadwinner ceases to become the breadwinner, and that equally in itself has an economic toll. In Nigeria, the number of unemployed people begins to increase, and the number of those who cannot work anymore begins to increase, and it will become another heavy work, not only for the family. Of course, the government will not want to play a role. It's supposed to play a role. So what we
sorry to cut in there, we talk about government role. I think part of the role the government can play here is to strengthen the local pharmaceutical industries. Strengthen them. During the COVID time, incentives were given to the pharmaceutical industry so they can produce vaccines. If we have more of local pharmaceutical industries, it will help curb this. What makes it easy for people to import fake drugs? Sometimes it's because these drugs are produced outside of Nigeria. So the packaging doesn't even show the address of the manufacturing company. You just see made in India, for instance, made in this country, made in that country. But you cannot have a local product in Nigeria just on the packaging made in Nigeria. No. You will find the name of the company. You will find the address of the company. you would also find contact details of the company. So if we have more local pharmaceutical industries taking over, being empowered to manufacture these drugs here, so they don't need to import them. So you know where these drugs are coming from. If you get to I don't even think drugs should be sold in the market, except that market is specific for drugs alone. It is just for pharmacies or pharmaceutical industries to convey and distribute their products.
Right.
But where you have an open market where people can buy other types of merchandise and you're selling drugs there, that should not be. Because this is not like any other product. Why should I go to Onitsha main market to buy drugs? Why? Why should that be a place where they sell drugs? It's very sensitive. So I don't think it is what should be allowed. If it had been the norm before, but now that you now have people who are not medical practitioners, people who are not pharmacists in the business, it is part of the reason because it is sold in an open place. And so you have one particular trader who perhaps has been into spare parts or into textile material and is not doing well in the business. They say, I come to this line. The person changes business, you know, he just stocks his shop with drugs. That should not be.
Okay, so there are times I see that there's nothing that escapes the eyes of the government. You are importing drugs into Nigeria to be sold. Where does it come from? If they are using the land borders, the customs are there. Where does it come from? If it's coming through the ports, the customs are there. And the customs know who is clearing what. The customs know from what country what drug is coming from. To bring out these containers, this one is stocked with drugs. What you know it's coming from whichever country. Of course, it's because the container that is bound for the country, for Nigeria, will surely, the papers will show the source of the country is coming from and that the destination is Nigeria. So do we have, talking about synergy among our agencies, do we have NAFDAC, do we have NAFDAC officials working with the customs?
Of course, they are there.
If they are there, how did it go through? How did it pass through their eyes? If it went through their eyes and they were there, it's already suggesting something. Can we say bribery is taking place? Can we say that?
What if these items are even smuggled?
If it
what
is,
if these
okay,
fake drugs are smuggled?
let's say they are. See, you don't have excuse.
It still comes back to customs at the border.
If they are being smuggled through the ports and through the borders, they will find officers to be that are complicit for them to do business with. And that officer needs to understand that if you are taking for one container that was smuggled, or for one carton that is smuggled into your country, and that you are taking money for it, that lives are going, people are dying, people are going to die. If it is a good drug and it has gone through the specification of NAFDAC and the NAFDAC of the other country from which the drug is coming from, NAFDAC should be working in collaboration with those countries. If there is someone that is importing this medication, it must be a licensed pharmaceutical company over here in Nigeria. We must have a link to NAFDAC, connecting to the other organization, to the other pharmaceutical organization from the other country that is bringing them into the country. So we will know that, okay, this is going to pass through. But if it is fake, of course, there are dubious ways to bring them in, and somebody will be complicit in the process. And when you are complicit that way, do not forget that you are killing people because of that brown envelope. You may not put a gun to their head, or you take a knife to their neck, but you are snuffing out their lives. And the government did not give you a uniform or give you a job to sit in the customs office or to be in the borders to kill its citizens, to kill your brothers and sisters. No, it's so that you can serve as the eye of the government to put things right. And because the market is booming for fake medication, you become part of the tool for dubious persons to do business. So In that's why if agents of collaboration, and we must also look at other ways to tackle this at the grassroots. You enter into vehicles, public vehicles, and you see some of these people selling drugs and medication in the vehicles. So if NAFDAC is going to have food soldiers, they need to be everywhere. They need to be, sometimes you just plant one or two of them in those vehicles. And whoever is advertising and selling those medication, when they are done, you come down, the bus stop the person is dropping, you highlight to that person and trace the person. Or you can equally give the card that I would like to buy more of this from you because I would like to sell. Can you give me the package? We would like to have 2 trucks of these drugs that you are selling. That's money that will, then you find a way to lure this person in so you can get to the source of whoever is selling this fake medication. And I think NAFDAC knows how to do it better because you have police officers with them and you have forensic investigators with them. These are trained personnel who can actually do this job. But they are making some effort and we are getting somewhere. But I think we need to do more.
Yes, indeed, we need to do more. Kudos to NAFDAC. There's still much more that you can do for us in Nigeria because the issue of fake drugs and unwholesome food and drinks needs to be curbed. It's a danger to the lives of every Nigerian. We ask that the government give every support that NAFDAC needs, and together we can work. Where you see something going wrong, you know they say if you see something, you need to see something. Whistleblowers, we need all of us. Yes, if we see those who are selling fake drugs, or we know those who are selling fake drugs, NAFDAC, let the public know how to send you messages, you know, so that you have intelligence to know where all of this is happening. Because at the end of the day, we do not know who the next victim will be. That's why we need to work hand in hand to protect each other. For those who are in this, Pere has just said it all. You don't need to shoot at someone. You do not need to use your knife to murder someone before you are a murderer. If you are in the business of fake drugs, you are also a murderer. And I'm sure that today your heart will melt. Conscience will be reawakened. And then you will know that this is wrong. You do not need to do this to your fellow human beings.